lots of people have gotten into baking recently for obvious reasons, so I thought this would be a good time to talk about how to make baking a little bit healthier. And as usual, I've thrown in a few examples for good measure. To start with, homemade baked goods are always going to be that much better because you know exactly what's gone into them. Add fruit and vegetables where possible. This will bump up the fibre content and the nutritional value. Not to mention it will keep the moisture in your baking. Alternative flours can be a great way to boost protein, iron, fibre and other nutrients. Some great examples include buckwheat flour, almond flour and brown rice flour. Use unsaturated fats to substitute saturated fats like butter. Pop in a few extras that won't alter the taste or the texture but will boost that nutritional value, like flax. All of these suggestions will also make your creations a lot more filling. Without further ado, here are the bits that I've created. In this bowl we have mixed together some spelt flour, a pinch of Himalayan pink salt, a bicarbonate of soda and baking powder. In this bowl, which I'm totally aware looks absolutely disgusting, is mashed avocado and brown sugar mixed together. Then I'm going to whisk in 2 eggs, some vanilla extract, Greek yogurt and almond milk. That's all going to get whisked together until smooth. So there we have it, the world's most unattractive baking mixture. So that's everything mixed together. I'm laughing because I know it looks disgusting. And also, I know that this bowl is not the most practical, but all the rest of my mixing bowls are in use for other things, so I'm just making do. So here's all the wet ingredients mixed together. So the next step is to gradually mix this in with the dry ingredients, so just doing it little by little. Now I'm going to fold in the blueberries, so I'll just throw those in. I'm using the mixture of frozen blueberries and fresh blueberries because I didn't have enough of either. Very often I just make do with what I have at hand. So I'm going to fold that into the batter. And here we are, they're all added to their tins, ready to go in. Generally, for baking in a fan oven, 160, 170 is fine. In a preheated oven. So these are going to go in for about 20 minutes. They might take a little bit longer just because I use frozen berries. But here they are, the finished product. They were left to cool for about half an hour, so it's safe to say that they are ready to eat. Okay, so for this recipe I'm using up some apples, some plums and some blackberries in an apple, plum and blackberry crumble. So in a non-stick tray I've put in the apples and the plums and they've just been covered in some lemon juice. It took up about 2 lemons, and then I've got 4 apples in here and about a punnet of plums. I've got about a punnet or so of blackberries, about 100 grams of melted butter, 100 grams of sugar, a sprinkle of mixed spice, and then I'm going to pour that over the apples and the plums. So that all got poured in and then just mixed together so that the apple and the plums are coated in that mixture and the blackberries are evenly distributed. The actual crumble part. In this bowl I've got about 250 grams of flour. It's a mixture of wholemeal flour and plain flour, just because I didn't have enough wholemeal flour left, so I just bulked it up with some white flour. And then I've got a bowl here of butter, 150, 60 grams of butter in there. So what you're supposed to do with this is you're supposed to put the butter in with the flour and then you rub it with your fingers until it makes sort of like a crumbly consistency. It takes a little bit of work, but it's progresses a lot faster than you think. Once that all looked like a crumbly sort of consistency, I added in some oats, about 100 grams, then about 50 grams of sugar, and then I'm going to mix all that together, then use it to cover the fruit. Then in that goes for about half an hour. And there's my finished crumble. 2 things I want to point out is 1, I use butter in this recipe, and 2, I use sugar. A lot of people are afraid of using those 2 ingredients. I really wanted to include this recipe to show that there's no need to be afraid of using certain ingredients. It's just a case of being aware of how much you use and how often you use it. We're not trying to demonize any ingredients. Another handy tip I thought I'd mention is that probably about half or more of this is going to get frozen and safe for later. And for this kind of thing I often use like these type of containers. So this container came with cherry tomatoes in it, but There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So I just basically just put the crumble in there and then freeze it. And that's quite a good size for a portion. So these are really handy for reusing. Also stops them from ending up in the bin. And here it is dished up with my homemade ice cream. So this evening's recipe is carrot and apple muffins. So in this bowl I've mixed together almond meal, oats, cinnamon, baking soda, a little bit of salt and some chocolate chips. In another bowl I have a cup of honey, 3 eggs and 5 or 6 tablespoons of melted butter. Then lastly in another bowl I have 4 small medium-ish carrots grated, and then I have 2 grated apples. Then the grated carrots and apple is going to get mixed together with the wet ingredients, and then that's all going to go in with it. Once that was all mixed together, they were all then spooned into muffin trays and ready to go into a preheated oven of 180 degrees Celsius. And they go in for about half an hour. And there we have it, some delicious muffins. These ones are a bit sweeter than the avocado and blueberry muffins, but both are really good. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe so you can be notified when the next one goes live.